The relentless pursuit of happiness is only part of our cultural coaching. The other message is that we must avoid pain. Pain is seen as unnecessary or embarrassing, a product of bad choices or personal failure. When pain comes, we're encouraged to use analgesics. Take a pill, take a drink, numb out with your TV or the internet, buy something. But whatever we do, pain is a sign of failure and we must stop it. These cultural injunctions about pain are why it's so difficult to be sick, old, or sad. As we face necessary losses and grieve over the ways our lives have changed, we are told on some level that we no longer fit, that we should disappear so as not to embarrass ourselves or disturb others. The pursuit of happiness doesn't work. Chasing happiness doesn't help us find it. You already suspect this. You've been busy coping with difficult challenges and seeking a good life, a happy life. Yet you are often tired, at times sad. No matter what you do, pain continues to show up, and happiness seems momentary, ephemeral. To see why, it might be useful to differentiate among happiness, joy, and pleasure. Let's start with joy. Joy is not happiness. Rather, it is the beauty of the moment, fully experiencing what's happening right now. That's why people enjoy sports, hobbies, traveling, kissing, creating, walking in the woods, watching a sunset, and so on. All of these experiences keep us in the now, focused on our senses, fully engaged in the present. We aren't thinking about bad things that happened in the past or dangers lurking in the future. We aren't sad or anxious. We're just here, feeling and fully living this moment in time. You can tell why joy doesn't last. Sooner or later, we leave the moment. We put down our quilting or our paintbrushes. The tennis game or the kiss ends. The sunset fades. The air gets cold and we go inside. But here's the paradox. Joy doesn't end because those moments end. Joy ends because we leave the moment. The trip or tennis game or mountain hike is merely a vehicle to keep us in the now. While our attention might simply move on to the next moment, it usually doesn't. Instead, our minds slip to the future or the past, pulling up worries or judgments about ourselves or others. Joy doesn't last because without some focusing activity, we leave the moment, and only in the moment is joy possible. Pleasure, too, is often confused with happiness. There are pleasure centers in the brain that get stimulated by the release of key neurotransmitters, endorphins. Subjectively, this often feels like excitement. While we sometimes call this feeling happiness, it is not an emotion. It's a neurological experience that cannot last. The reason is this. No matter how intensely pleasurable something is, the body and nervous system habituate to it. We get used to the stimulation, and our excitement eventually drops to baseline, even if the pleasurable stimulation continues at a high level. All mammals desensitize to stimuli. This process of getting used to everything, pain as well as pleasure, helps us survive. Sooner or later, the nervous system calms down, no matter how impactful the experience might be. Joy and pleasure fade, regardless of what we do. While they are likely to return, we cannot keep these experiences. Now, finally, let's look at happiness. The emotion of happiness isn't a peak experience like joy or pleasure. When people describe the experience of happiness, they often use the word contentment, a feeling that things are as they should be, that our lives are right, and we are somehow living in a way that makes sense. But what is contentment, happiness, about? And how do we create it? There are two kinds of contentment: happiness with what happens, the events of your life, and happiness with how you've chosen to live, the things you do in your life. We have little control over the contentment derived from events. Our children will or won't graduate from college. We will or won't get seriously ill. Our mortgages are or aren't underwater. And we have or haven't suffered a family loss. But what we can control, and the happiness that's within our reach, derives from the ways we choose to live. Happiness comes and can be sustained by making choices that are aligned with the ideals that matter most to us, our life purpose. This kind of happiness is not ephemeral. It can't be taken away. No misfortune or illness can strip it from us. No rejection, no job loss, no market plunge can touch it. This happiness rests on the knowledge that regardless of the outcome, we have done what mattered. We have acted on our highest values. Achieving the happiness of a life based on the deep truth of how we want to be, not what we want to happen, is what this book is about.